Welcome back to another podcast episode with Brittany Bundles. You are listening to the Brittany Bundles podcast, where we empower people through entrepreneurship. And today we have a very special guest with us. We have Melissa Pera. She is an independent Mary Kay beauty consultant. And she's going to be sharing with us some of her beauty tips, along with her business journey and how Mary Kay has provided an outlet for her and has changed her life through the empowerment of makeup and also business opportunities. So we're going to dive a little bit into that today. Hi, Melissa. Thank you so much for being a part of this podcast today.
Hi, Brittany. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Okay, so I went ahead and I opened up the podcast and let our listeners know that we're excited to have you here. And I want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do and who you are.
Sure, great. Thank you. I appreciate it. So yes, I am an independent beauty consultant with Mary Kay. I have been doing this business now for about 2.5 years. Really kind of started off part-time as a little side hustle and then just decided to dive deep into it and haven't really looked back since. So like Brittany and myself, I also have a financial banking background, and I did that for over 10 plus years before I decided to jump into the Mary Kay business. And just a little bit about why I decided to kind of take that avenue, because it's a little different than a financial background.
Yes.
I really just decided to kind of get into that because really the ethics of the company, what they believe in, their background, I think we're going to kind of dive into that, so I won't get into it too deep, but it really just gave me the freedom and flexibility to work around my schedule as an entrepreneur and, you know, really create the lifestyle that I was looking for with my family.
Well, that's amazing. And I know you mentioned that initially it started off as a side hustle and then you decided to just go full force with it. What was the deciding factor that led you to go full force? And were you afraid? And how did you kind of overcome some of those fears, if you were afraid?
Yeah, I think, yeah, absolutely. I think anytime you have a huge life change, fear is definitely in play. But what the deciding factor truly was is I had my son Nolan. So when I first started, Mary Kay was pregnant with my son and wanted some extra cash, as I think we always do.
Yeah.
And when I had him, I was struggling to go back to my full-time job, so decided to go back to that part-time. And then there was a huge ordeal that kind of happened at the daycare where he came home with a bruise on day one, and my heart was already just trying to fight the fact that I wanted to stay home with him. So that really just pushed me to make that decision to pursue this full-time and just kind of overcome fear, because I think that anytime we're feeling that fear or that hesitation, it really is it's a time and a space for you to push yourself to grow.
I definitely agree. And I think it's really empowering and inspirational that you decided to overcome your fears and actually push forward, because not only is it benefiting you, but there's always people watching. I see your lives on Facebook and they're really amazing. People are commenting and really interested in the value-based content that you provide. So I'm tipping my hat off to you for that. About the fear, I know that, yeah, my pleasure. I know that fear, like you mentioned, it is very common whenever we're doing something that is out of our norm, right? And it definitely is beneficial to push ourselves past that fear if we ever want to reach our dreams and our goals. What are some tips that you have for the listeners out there that are wanting to push past their fears and actually get started with their dreams, but they don't know how to do it? How are you able to do that?
Honestly, I think that it's getting out of your own head. That's something that Mary Kay has given me the tool to really pursue and push and just push back all those boundaries that I had set forth for myself. In our head, we kind of set up this whole scenario of what other people think, the way they're pursuing us. And to be honest, a lot of times that is just all in our own head. So that has been something that's really just been a huge shift for me, is not kind of concerning myself with what what the way that people may be portraying you, because once you push past that, you grow, like I said before, and you really become a stronger, more empowered person. And that's going to become a magnet for other people. So if you can push back that initial concern, it really does just push you so far ahead. And it's really just a beautiful thing. And like I said, that's one thing that I have truly, truly loved. Is one of my top favorite things about Mary Kay is it's really just allowed me to grow into the woman that I was intended to be.
Well, let me ask this, then let me kind of switch gears, because it sounds like Mary Kay is definitely more than just selling a product and just selling makeup. It seems like, and I do know a little bit about Mary Kay. I sold it for just a little bit, but that was many years ago. But it does sound like it has impacted your life based on their principles and the ethics that's actually behind Mary Kay. Do you mind explaining what makes Mary Kay different from other makeup companies out there?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's such a great question. I think that we, as a company, you tend to just see the very beginning of something, and it's a little harder to see a little more depth into it. So I'm so excited I get to share that with everyone that's listening today. Mary Kay really truly, it sounds kind of a little cheesy, but it is a little bit of a sisterhood. There's just a huge embodiment of women that are all trying to really become better versions of themselves. And this is really just a tool to be able to do that. So not only do we get to empower women by teaching them how to take care of their skin, how to treat their skin. We're not taught that growing up, how to maintain our skin care. And truly, Mary Kay is more about skincare versus the makeup piece, which I think is a common misunderstanding, because we all think about lipstick and Cadillacs, right?
Right. That's what I was thinking.
It is a lot deeper than that. Yeah, it's what every person always thinks of first. red or pink lipstick and a pink Cadillac.
Yes.
And that's still part of it, don't get me wrong. But really, Mary Kay started this business off over 56 years ago now, with the idea of putting God first, family second, and career third, and treating others how you want to be treated. And that goes through all depths of the company, whether it's another sister consultant or a customer or somebody that you're even just meeting on the street. And Brittany knows this a little bit about me, but I'm very customer driven and I care so much for other people. So that really spoke to my heart. And I think that's what really the main foundation of the company is based on, I guess. And then, the cosmetics and treating women, that's just kind of a bonus.
I really like that. So I know you mentioned that Mary Kay is more so about skincare, and I do see you going live very frequently, and you give different tips and different tutorials on how to take care of your skin properly, and also how to apply different makeup. I know when I tried to sell Mary Kay many years ago, it was before COVID or anything like that, I would research how to create like these parties in my home so that I could have other women come in and do different facials and things like that, to build up my client base. I'm curious to know, how has COVID impacted your business? And if so, how were you able to keep moving forward virtually without actually being able to do makeup in person?
That's such a great question. And it was like a huge pivotal moment for Mary Kay because Brittany is absolutely right. We were all in person. So before COVID, we had no true virtual platforms other than a few people having like Facebook groups, which we really never did virtual things on. So huge pivot. During COVID, we had this moment to really decide how to handle it and how to pursue our business. And again, just with the concept of not letting fear consume you, we just kind of tried a couple different things out. Now it's stronger than ever. We've had the strongest year in a very long time during COVID.
Oh,
we do virtual Zoom parties. Yeah, thank you. We do Facebook parties, which are more along of like a skincare event versus like your standard party, if you understand that. Like it's structured just a little bit different. We send out free samples so that you still get to try the product before you buy, because that's something that's so important for somebody to be able to put the product on their face, and that differentiates our company with a lot of different cosmetic companies. And then obviously, like, now we're starting to kind of blend in person back in. So it gives us all these different platforms to still withhold our beliefs and still, you know, guarantee our products, let people try, but not have to worry about, you know, if they're dependent on where you stand with, like, you know, your COVID concern.
Okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. Have you found any major challenges with trying to market and I guess build up somewhat of another audience through social media?
I would say learning that platform at first was just a tiny bit tricky for me because I'm very much a people person, and it's a different world virtually than it is in person. However, I will say now I have customers, I have team members all over the United States. So it's been a true, I mean, not that COVID was a blessing by any means, but the idea of being able to pivot virtually has been a blessing to my business. So I would say just the initial fear of getting in front of a camera and, like, you know, looking at yourself while you're doing makeup is a little tricky. But once you get past that initial fear and, like, awkwardness and just kind of live into your own spirit, I think it works really well.
Well, that's really cool. One thing that I love to ask a lot, well, I don't want to say, do I ask a lot of our guests this? I don't know. If you're listening to the podcast, let me know. Send me an email at btalks@yahoo.com if I ask a lot of our guests this. But I do want to ask you this. How do you deal with the lack of support? Have you noticed the lack of support when you were transitioning from 9-to-5 corporate America to being an entrepreneur? Were you shocked at the people that were supporting you, or shocked at the people that did not support you? And how are you able to cope with that?
That's such a great question. I really think that anytime you decide to do something that's out of the, I want to say the norm, but the norm for a 9-to-5 corporate America person, I think you're going to receive some sort of hesitation maybe. And I don't think it comes from non-support. I think it comes from non-understanding. And when you can't understand or see a bigger picture than, you know, a normal paycheck, I think you're always going to get some sort of resistance from certain people. But just knowing what my dreams were and what my goals were and having them so clearly painted and just doing my, you know, doing a visualization every single day of that goal, I know more than ever what my dreams are, and you can't really let anybody impact your dreams. If you have a strong enough goal and you have a strong enough vision, the background isn't going to impact you.
I completely agree. And I made a video a few days ago just going over the why some people have a hard time with supporting entrepreneurs with their journey. And like you mentioned, I did go over the fact that sometimes people just don't understand, or they're not able to see your dream, your vision. And a lot of times with entrepreneurs doing consultations, unfortunately, it does discourage a lot of people from continuing on because of the lack of support or the lack of understanding. And so, like you said, just making sure that you know what you want to do and moving forward is always beneficial. Would you agree in saying that once you show the confidence and once you stick with something you're actually passionate about, you do start to see some of those non-believers catching on to the train and wanting to now support or understand your vision?
Absolutely. I would 100% agree with that.
I would as well. Yeah, that's been my experience. Well, Mary Kay seems like a great organization. I actually have family that work for Mary Kay. Like I said, I've tried it some years ago, and everything that you said, it just makes me really eager to get this podcast up so that anyone listening that's interested in becoming an independent Mary Kay consultant can do that. Can you let us know how we can join, or if we are interested in getting more information on becoming an independent Mary Kay consultant, where do we go for that information?
Absolutely. You can reach out to me directly and I can kind of go over the basics of how you can get started in your company. It's actually very, very simple. There's, yeah, so I would just say reach out directly to me. Would it be okay, Brittany, if I forwarded you my email address and I know
Yes,
that you
please.
have my link to my website, and that has my contact information on it as well.
Yes. Do you want to share on the podcast just for those listening what your email address is?
Yeah, absolutely. So my email address is Melissa, Melissa, Pera, Pera, 85 at yahoo.com.
Perfect. Melissa Pera, 85 at yahoo.com. And when people do reach out and they're interested in getting started, can you walk us through some of the beginning steps? Is it really, I guess, complicated? Is there a large fee that needs to be paid, or just to kind of get some of the fear out of it? How
No.
simplistic is the process?
Yeah. Yes, it can be super intimidating, right?
Yeah.
No, it's actually very, very simple. So what we would do is just kind of, I personally like to get to know my people that are going to be joining my team. Like I kind of said earlier, I'm very, very driven on relationships. So for me, I would want to kind of get to know them just a little bit better, what their goals are, what they aspire for, so that we can really work on maintaining that and what it looks like to hit that goal. One thing I love about Mary Kay is that it really works and meshes with whatever you're wanting it to be. So like before, I started off as a part-time thing, wanted just a little extra money. It's great for that. If you want to do a full-time career out of it, it absolutely can support that as well. So I just would want to get to know the person, what their goals are. And then the training is just phenomenal. So I would be walking them through really the startup process. We would do things together as far as parties go, so that they have the confidence. Like nothing's worse than signing up and then getting tossed to the wolves, right?
Right.
So, I will be there every step of the way. And then there's also training on our website, product knowledge. So if you're not confident if you've never even heard of skincare or you're not familiar with it, truly there's just so much knowledge out there. There's so many videos, there's training. And then we also have weekly training so that you can kind of see different personalities and how every person kind of does things the same, but a little bit different, so that you can apply it to your style too.
I like that. Okay, so reach out from you and then you'll take it from there. I do like the fact that you are relationship driven. That's something that we definitely talk about here on this podcast. So make sure that you all reach out to Melissa if you are interested in starting your career through Mary Kay. Another question that I have is, how do you juggle being a mom and an entrepreneur? That is something that is, I know for me, sometimes it can be very challenging. I enjoy, don't get me wrong, I am blessed that I'm not, that I'm able to stay home and that I'm able to be with my children all the time. I wouldn't trade it for the world, but I can say some days, I'd be lying to say that I don't miss getting out into the world sometimes and being able to communicate with other adults, even if it's just 10 minutes in the break room. So how do you juggle being a mom and an entrepreneur?
So that is an awesome question. It's definitely tricky sometimes. But I will say, structure and organization really has been the key for me. So I'm definitely a planner. It's rooted deep in my soul. But just the key is balance. So I think that's the key to anything, is really making sure that you balance your family time, you balance your business time, and then your time, if you have a spouse, the time with your spouse, and your time with God too. So mine has just been a balancing act of trying to figure out, how much time do I need for me? How much time do I need for my family, and all of that. And then as far as because you do go a little stir crazy being around a toddler all day, right? So that's one thing I love about this business, is that we have weekly meetings. They're now in person, which is so awesome. I really, really miss that piece of it. But that's my girl time, and it's my time to have adults and have an adult conversation. So it's really cool that we have the option to do it both virtually and in person. But it's nice to break away and have that moment.
I definitely agree with you there. I know you mentioned you're a planner. What's your favorite planner?
Oh, let me hold on a second. So I have fallen in love with, it's actually a planner for direct sales. So A lot of entrepreneurs would probably really enjoy this. And it's by Belinda Ellsworth and Steps into Success. And I love it because it breaks down your large monthly calendar, then your weekly, and it gives you a place to kind of write down notes per time slot, which is what I'm all about.
Wow. Okay, let me write this down. So Belinda Ellsworth, and you said Steps into Success is what it's called?
Yeah, and Steps into Success. I can give you the website if that would be helpful.
Yes, please. Yes, that seems
so
like a great plan.
Yeah, I love this planner. You'll get addicted. It's www.stepintosuccess.com.
Okay. All right, look at me, because I do definitely, I'm trying to incorporate the planner world. I didn't know that there was so many planners out there. I went to Walmart and I got the Happy Planner, and my grandmother said, that's my favorite type of plan. I said, how do you even know? So planning is definitely a thing. The stickers, and
Yes.
it's a whole bunch of, like the decorations. So I'm definitely going to step my planner game up. So I have to look at this website.
Yeah, you'll love this one. And I think too, color coordinating really helps. Just a little tip.
Color coordinating with the stickers.
So I actually highlight my time slots. So if it's, I'll just give you an example. So let's say it's an income producing activity, which we call an IPA in Mary Kay. I highlight that in pink. And then if it's family time, so I'm like setting aside an hour to work on colors with my son, then I do that in yellow. And then if it's like a workout or fitness activity or health oriented, I do that in green. And then you can kind of see when you're looking at your planner, if you're spending too much time or investing too much of yourself in your business or your family or working out. I don't know how you put too much time into that, but
you can. I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
Well, that is really good.
You look at your planner and you know where your time is. Yeah.
It seems like I would have just thought of that. Like, it seems simple, but I promise you that never crossed my mind. I am definitely going to take you up on that tip.
Yeah, it's a game changer.
It sounds like it. Okay. So I'm just writing myself notes. Okay. What else do I want to learn? No, I'm not going to be selfish. But for this question, I might be. So what type of skincare tips or beauty tips are you willing to share with us today? Anything you can think of.
Question. Okay, so I'm going to go through the 3 most common mistakes that women make, because this is just a really great knowledge-based thing.
Okay.
So mistake number 1 that we make is not washing our face at night. Okay. And that's like a huge no-no. I think we've kind of all heard, that it's important to wash our face at night, but I don't think any of us really are taught why. So just know, definitely wash your face twice a day. I know that life gets crazy, but it's so beneficial to like wash your day off. And during my events, we kind of get into this a little more, but it actually ages your face a whole extra 7 days every time you don't wash your face at night. 7 days.
7 days.
Yeah. Shocking, right? Like those days add up real fast.
Oh, okay. Melissa, I said tips. I didn't say scare us. Okay. Take it a little lighter on the tips. Okay.
No, you're right. I'm sorry. And then I would say that the second most common mistake is not exfoliating our skin. I think that we're not, again, given the knowledge to know that. So you should be exfoliating your face once a week. And I know, disclaimer here, this is not like to pass judgment. I honestly was lucky if I got a charcoal mask in like once a year. I had no clue.
Yeah.
That's another thing I like to tell women, to empower them, like make sure you're exfoliating at least once a week. And if you need help knowing what exfoliation is, like what it looks like, what products you should use, definitely reach out to me. I'm so happy. And I love helping people figure out how to take care of their skin. And then the third one is really mixing different products from different companies. You should really stick with one cohesive company line, because the companies don't test their products to work with other companies' products, right? So it can create chemical warfare on your skin.
I've never thought of that either. Okay. It kind of reminds me of when I started getting my nails done, and I was advised to not hop around to different salons if I could avoid it, so that I wouldn't mix products. I wouldn't get a fill from this company
Right.
and then go over and get a fill at the other. So that definitely makes sense. I've never thought of that. So thank you for sharing those tips.
Yeah.
Any makeup tips that
Absolutely.
you have?
Oh, makeup tips. So I would just have to say, okay, so I used to be, I hated liquid foundation, okay? Only for the reason that I didn't like the coverage. I didn't like the feeling of feeling cakiness on my skin. And also, we really struggle as women to foundation match. It is a real thing. And it doesn't matter what your skin type is, what skin color you have. So many women struggle with that. And we actually have a newer foundation line. It's called TimeWise 3D liquid foundation. And it comes in two different options, matte and a luminous. So that's really dependent on your skin type, which is so cool. Like, who knew that that was even a thing? And then we do foundation matching. So you can guarantee to get the right color for your skin type. And we're all trained and specialized in doing that. So it's really cool that you're able to do that. Instead of, like, a lot of women actually mix foundations together to get the right color. And that's just, you shouldn't have to do that. You know, it's
I
just
agree.
not right.
I don't think you should have to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
And then for lip liners, I love a lip liner. Now, I may just be stuck in the past. I hear some people saying, do away with lip liners. That was so old school. No one does that anymore. And then some people are saying it's coming back. What are your take on lip liners?
Oh, I have dove right into the lip liners. I'm loving them. So actually, it's really cool to do. They're calling it an ombre look, but you do like a little bit tiny darker color with your lip liner, right? Which is pretty standard, but you can actually mix ours with lip glosses, so you get a little bit of a shine and it fades in. Or you can do it with a lipstick, which makes it look a little more bold. So it's kind of cool. If you're a little intimidated by the lip liner, I do recommend that option of kind of mixing it with the lip gloss, because it gives such a pretty look, but it really makes your lip look a little bolder and poofier than it does with just a standard color.
Okay. I will definitely note that too. And then for people out there that are not necessarily wanting to become an independent beauty consultant, but they are wanting to make money through Mary Kay, or not even make money, but receive some incentives, do you offer different hosting opportunities or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So as a beauty consultant, we actually get half off of our products. So you make 50% of your sales, which is amazing. And so far, every direct sale that I've come across, that's the highest, which is really phenomenal. But if you're not interested in selling the product, and you're a little just, I don't know, whatever the situation is, we all have different hostess programs as consultants. My hostess program that I have been putting out there, which I love, because I want to treat my hostesses great. They're like the lifeline, right, of our business. So I do up to 50% off your sales as a hostess, dependent on, if we get second bookings or if we get a certain amount of sales. But just by I can't say that word, holding your initial event date, you automatically get a half off item with me. So
Okay. And then to host the party, all we have to do is just reach out to you via email for that as well.
Exactly. Yep. And then you can also reach out to me phone or text to 655-6156.
Okay. And your area code, I'm assuming it's 269?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. Okay. And just to switch gears a little bit, do you have any advice that you would give just off the top of your head and your heart to upcoming entrepreneurs?
I would say the most important thing is to be fearless. You know, whenever you're feeling scared or insecure, or you're thinking that somebody, like you're almost overreading into like a no, because in entrepreneurship, at least my personal experience is that we hear no, right? And
Yes.
it's hard to hear no, but the no's get you closer to the yeses, and God works in that way. So if you're hearing a lot of no's, just know that you're probably on the brink of something so phenomenal, and don't give up on your dream. That's the difference between the people that really push through and become entrepreneurs and the ones that fail, is when they give up just right on the brink of success. So when you feel like you're at wit's end and you can't push anymore, just keep pushing, because you're probably right on the tip of that mountain.
Well, thank you for that. And I definitely agree. And sometimes, like I do say very frequently on this podcast, as well as on my YouTube channel, sometimes I have not been able to get over my fear, you know, so I've learned how to work while in fear. I've learned how to work through fear. So even though you may be nervous or fearful of doing something, finding some way to still push forward, even if you're scared, will definitely be beneficial in my experience. So I agree with you there. How would you say that you stay motivated?
For sure, my kids. For sure, my kids. But I would say my biggest motivating factor is truly knowing that my kids get to see what it's like with an entrepreneur as a parent, and just the ability to be able to be there for every single one of their big events, and to be there to support them, and really just showing them the structure of how to maintain that and structure your day. Like that, my kids are for sure it.
And that's very powerful. I can definitely relate to that as well. And then talk to us a little bit about flexibility. How does Mary Kay offer flexibility? Does it offer flexibility that you're looking for? Do you have to work a certain amount of hours per week, or how does that work?
So truthfully, there are no requirements when it comes to that at all. It's really just worked around your schedule and what you're looking for out of the business. So the more you pour into it, the more you get out of it. But it helps so many different women in different ways. And like I said before, you know, starting off part-time, that was for sure so helpful. And there's really no limits. So it really is just what you're looking to get out of it. And that's why, again, I'm just so relationship driven, because not every single person's going to want the same thing out of their business, right? So you have to really hear what they're looking for to really give them that path and avenue to get what they're dreaming or aspiring for.
Well, that's good. I do like the fact that you have flexibility to live your life and still be able to work. So if any of you listening, again, if you are interested in becoming an independent Mary Kay beauty consultant or hosting a party, are they able to host parties virtually, or will it need to be in person at this point?
Nope. They're available virtually and in person. And so it's really up to what they're comfortable with and what they're looking for. Okay.
Perfect. So if you are interested in those opportunities, be sure to reach out to Melissa. Again, her email address is melissapera85@yahoo.com. And then you provided your phone number, 269-655-6156.
And to
Okay.
Brittany, just to let the listeners know, even if you're just interested in learning a little bit more about taking care of your skin and how to do that, like I said before, we offer free samples. We can meet even one-on-one, and I'm happy to kind of sit down and walk you through how to maintain your skin and just empower you in that way. So there's just so many different ways that you can kind of take advantage of this. So even if you're just wanting to know a little bit more about how to take care of yourself, I'm happy to do that too.
Thank you. And you know what? I'm thinking this would be cool. Let me know if the listeners out there, let me know if you would be interested in seeing this. So Melissa, let me know your thoughts. I'm thinking it would be really cool if we did like a Zoom like we're doing now, but we were actually on camera, and we record it, and you teach me how to do maybe a skincare routine or something like that, where we can actually share it, like maybe on Facebook together or maybe on YouTube, and we can go over the details. But I think that would be really, really interesting because, to be honest, I don't know as much as I need to know about proper skincare. So I think that would be a great opportunity to kind of show the audience in person some of the tools and skills that you have, and see if they would be interested in doing the same thing. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I love that idea. I would more than be happy to do that. Anytime
Yay,
I
okay.
can get some girl time with you, I'm down.
So another collaboration in the works, I feel. Okay, well, I will take you up on that and definitely reach out to you. Well, I do want to thank you again for being a guest on the podcast. I truly appreciate it. We're all family here. The people that are listening, the people that come on the podcast for interviews and for podcast features, we appreciate it. And like I said, we're just a big family. We just like sharing the tips that we've learned during our journey and hearing other tips as well. Do you have any closing words or anything that you'd like to say before we close out?
No, I just appreciate this opportunity, and thank you guys so much for just chiming in and listening and hearing me out. And again, just, if you are even thinking about becoming an entrepreneur and you're just a little hesitant, if that is something that's been placed in your heart, do not wait, just go for it. It's such a wonderful thing. And once you work through, your nerves in the beginning, it pays off a millionfold. So just, there's a reason that you have a dream in your heart, and don't let go of that dream. I feel like, when we're little, we have these huge dreams, and then somehow as we get older, they just kind of diminish. And it's so important. Life is too short. Just hold on to those dreams and pursue them.
Right. I definitely agree. So keep pushing forward. I do want to thank you all for listening to this podcast episode. If you'd like to be featured on the podcast, please feel free to reach out to me via email. My email address is btalks@yahoo.com. That is BTALKS@yahoo.com. Thanks again for listening, and we will talk to you all in the next podcast episode.